Good morning, children. I am going to teach you Unit 3, the impact of British rule in India. In this lesson, we are learning about administrative and judicial system, civil service, judicial system, police system, military system, land tax policies, permanent zamindari system, mahalwari system, raitwari system, and education and parliamentary acts. British company fulfilled its commercial needs by the trade. By observing the internal conflicts, British implemented divide and rule policy. In order to achieve complete domination, they followed war and negotiations methods. British integrated the whole India by one nation concept. The British East India Company implemented various administrative experiments, but they never forget to protect their financial interest. Children, British um, followed many methods to establish their rule in India. Civil services introduced by Lord Cornwallis. The system of appointing employees for the purpose of trade was done by the East India Company from the beginning. The company also provided permission for private workers to trade. By using these opportunities, employers made money, became corrupt through illegal means. So, to control this, in 1773, the government of England implemented Regulating Act. Fort William College was established in 1800 CE in Calcutta for the benefit of the aspiring to join civil services. All the appointments of civil services were done through competitive examinations held in Britain. Police system introduced by the Lord Cornwallis. It is efficient police system in India first time. He created the new post of superintendent of police. He divided a district into many stations in 1793 and put every station under a kotwal. Similarly, he put every village under the care of Chowkidar. Kotwal was made accountable for thefts, crime, and other law violations at village level. The severe drought of 1770 led to the weak and order situation. Law and order situation. Hence, the entire police system was brought under the control of the British officers. The system of appointing British magistrate started in 1781. The police officers were under the power of the magistrate. The police system underwent continuous changes. In 1861, the Indian police system underwent continuous changes. In 1861, the Indian Police Act implemented. This law is the base of good law and order administration, but Indians were not appointed for the post of officers. In 1902, the Police Commission allowed the appointment of suitable qualified for the post of police officers. A new judicial system started finding roots when the British rule began taking over from the Mughal rule. After the Battle of Buxar and Battle of Plassey, they have got the right Diwani and Zamindari. And by the introduction of dual government by Robert Clive came into effect Bengal region and became successful. According to the administrative plan devised by Warren Hastings, who took over the administration as governor in 1772. Two types of courts were needed to be established in each district: a Diwani Adalat as a civil court, a Fauzdari Adalat as a criminal court. In these civil courts, Hindus were dispensed justice as per the Hindu scriptures and Muslims as per the Shariat. Slowly, the British legal procedures were introduced in the criminal courts. Civil courts came under the administration of European officers, through the criminal courts were under the control of qazis. They were functioning under the supervision of European officers. So, this is the judiciary system introduced by the British. In order to fulfill the commitment with the British government, company fixed the land tax policies. Lord Cornwallis implemented permanent zamindari system in 1793. Zamindar became the landowner. Zamindar has to pay fixed tax to the company. He was free to collect any amount. Zamindars collected more tax than fixed amount by the company. The ownership of the zamindars was withdrawn whether they failed to pay tax. By this system, both zamindars and Britishers got benefit. They led a luxurious life. Farmers were exploited working in lands. They suffered irregular working in lands. They led in a secured life. They led insecure life, so that Charles Metcalfe said that the Indian farmers were born in debt, lived in debt, and died in debt due to the land tax policies of the British. Britishers introduced a Mahalwari system. The company government entered an agreement at the level of Mahals. Mahal means taluk. This was introduced by John R.M. Baird and James Thompson in the region like Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh. Later, it was extended to all the zonals and Hyderabad regions also. Raitwari system was first implemented in Baramal region by Alexander Reed in 1792. This system was later implemented in Madras and Mysore region by Thomas Munro in 1801. Most of these regions had become part of British Empire by that time. Under this system, both the farmers and the company were directly linked. The tiller of the land was recognized as the owner of the land. The owner had to pay 50% of the produce as land tax to the company. The land tax had 30 years tenure. Tax could be revived after this tenure. This would be little favor to the farmers. Though the small farmers were given land ownership, they were subjected to more suffering due to heavy land taxes. The officials took punitive actions to collect land taxes. The farmers had to borrow from the money lenders whenever the crops failed. They had to sell their lands whenever they failed to repay the loans for the money lenders. Though the company government claimed that the new system benefit the farmers, the irony was that more farmers had to lose their lands due to the implementation of the exploitation and the by the zamindars and the impact of British land tax system. A new class of zamindars who exploited the farmers was created. The farmers who were subjected to the exploitation of the zamindars became landless slowly. Land became commodity. Many zamindars also had to mortgage their land in order to pay the land taxes. The agriculture sector became commercialized and had to grow raw materials needed by industries back in England. The money lenders became strong. Here, two classes were emerged, rich and the poor. Constitutional development. Laws implemented during the rule of East India Company. First one is Regulating Act of 1773. After the implementation of Diwani rights in 1765, the greedy company officials misused this provision and became rich in a corrupt way. Corruption spiraled out. Edmund Burke, a member of the British Parliament, criticized the corruption in the East India Company. To regulate the corruption in the East India Company, the British government introduced a Regulating Act to regulate the affair of the British officials. According to this, before the implementation of Act, there were three presidencies under British rule: Bengal, Madras, and Bombay. All these three were independent administrative units. Under Regulating Act, Bengal Presidency gained control over the other two. The Governor of Bengal became the Governor General of all the three presidencies. Governor General was authorized to direct, exercise control, and supervise over the other two presidencies. Bombay Madras presidencies could not declare war against anyone. Governor General of Bengal Presidency and the Board of Directors of the company. Only during acute emergencies they were entitled to act independently. According to this act, Supreme Court of Judicature was established in Calcutta. In this central court of Chief Justice and three ordinary judges were there. Like this, the name of the Regulating Act suggests that Act was aimed at regulating the company affairs. Next one is Pitt's India Act of 1784. There were many inconsistencies in the Regulating Act of 1773. In order to rectify them and also to clearly outline the powers of the East India Company, British government introduced Pitt's India Act. A new institution named Board of Controllers, consisting of 6 commissioners, was started. Board of Controllers replaced the Board of Directors. This board had power to direct the control and issues existence in the place of Board of Directors. Next one is Charter Acts from 1813 to 1858. This act, the aim of the Charter Act was to renew the license of the East India Company. Charter Acts 1793, 1813, 1833 and 1853 were implemented to achieve this aim. This act licensed the East India Company to stay for another 20 years in India. A new era of license and authorization started. The Board of Directors was vested with the powers to appoint the Governor General and the Commander in Chief. Churches were allowed to enter India officially to spread education. Next, the Charter Act of 1833. This act aimed at improving the situation in India. It also licensed East India Company to remain in India for another 20 years. Governor General of Bengal was named as the Governor General of India. Governor General was vested with power to direct, control, and supervising all trades in India. Central government of Bengal had the final right to decide on issues like war, peace, and diplomatic relationship. Governor General was mandated to put his difference of opinion with executive committee members in writing whenever he differed with the majority opinion. The act barred any discrimination based on religion, birth, and skin color. The Governor General was mandated to appoint a law professional as member to his executive committee. All British companies were allowed to have trade relationship in India. The next is that British government acts. The Sepoy Mutiny took place due to maladministration of East India Company and anti-Indian acts in 1857. As a result, the administration of India handed over to the British Queen from the East India Company. During this period, Indian Government Acts 1858, 61, 1892, 1909 and 1919 and 1935 were implemented. According to this act needs to be understood in the backdrop of civil and military unrest that took place in 1857. India came under the direct rule of British government. The Queen of England Victoria announced that all-round development of India. The license of East India Company was cancelled and India was brought under the direct administration of Queen. The post of Governor General was changed into Viceroy. Lord Canning became the first Viceroy of India. A new post called Secretary of State for India was created. A Council of India was created in order to assist the Secretary in the administration. The Council had 15 members. After that, 1861 Act. Indians were nominated to the Council of Viceroy as non-official. Viceroy was authorized to proclaim ordinance in case of emergencies. With the 1861 Act, Indians were allowed to participate in the process of creation laws. In order to understand the aspiration of Indians, representation was given to Indians. This is called policy of assertion. Next one, 1892 Act. This act, popularly known as Constitution of Indian Council Act 1861. This act of 1892 further extended the participation of Indians in the legislative bodies. The number of additional members in the regional and central legislative bodies was increased. The Legislative Council authority was increased further by allowing discussion on budget related issues. Provision was made to question the government on public issues by serving 6 days notice in advance. Next, Indian Council Act of 1909. This act is also called as Minto-Morley Reforms Act. During the formulation of implementation this act, India and Lord Morley was the Secretary of State. This act was used to divide and rule India. The total number of central legislature member was increased to 60 from 16. The number of regional council members was also increased. Representation of the regional council was allowed through election for the first time. In order to provide separate representation for Muslims, separate electorate college was created. Next one is 1858 Indian Government of Act. This act needs to be understood in the backdrop of civil and military unrest that took place in 1857. India came under the direct rule of a British government. The Queen of England, Victoria, announced that all round development of India would be ensured by the British government on November 1st, 1858. The license of East India Company was cancelled and India was brought under the direct administration of the Queen. The post of Governor General was changed into Viceroy. Lord Canning became the first Viceroy of India. A new post called Secretary of State for India was created. A Council of India was created in order to assist the Secretary in the administration. Next, 1861 Indian Council Act. Here, this is an important act that came into effect after the 1857. With this act, Indians were allowed to participate in the process of creating laws in order to understand the aspiration of Indians. Representation was given to Indians. This is called as policy of assertion. Indians were nominated to the Council of Viceroy. Viceroy was authorized to proclaim ordinances. So next one is Indian Council Act of 1892. This act further extended the participation of Indians in the legislative bodies. The number of additional members in the regional and central legislative bodies was increased. The legislative council's authority was increased further by allowing a discussion on budget related issues. Provision was made to question the government on public issues by serving 6 days notice in advance. So this Congress organization towards the British administration led to this expansion of Indian representation in the governance. Indian Council Act of 1909. This act is also called as Minto-Morley Reforms Act. During the formation and implementation of this act, Lord Minto was the Viceroy of India and Lord Morley was the Secretary of State for India. This act was used to divide and rule policy in India. The total number of central legislature members was increased to 60 from 16. The number of regional council members was also increased. Representation of the regional council was allowed through election for the first time. In order to provide separate representation for Muslims, separate electorate college was created. After that, 1919 Government of Act. Since Indians took active part in the First World War, Lord Montagu, who was the Secretary of State for India, argued in favor of providing more representation to Indians. In the matter of administration, he was in favor of allowing people's participation in the formation of government gradually. Lord Chelmsford, who was Viceroy, then declared various reformative measures to the British Parliament on 28, 1917. The Indian Council Act of 1919 formulated by accepting this report. Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act formulated by Cameral Legislative Body. Diarchy was allowed at the regional governments and High Commissioner of was appointed for India, promised to improve local self-government. Provincial budget was separated um, from central budget. Separate electoral college was extended for all other minorities also. So next act is Government of Act India Act of 1935. This act as the base for the formation of Indian Constitution. The report submitted in 1928 under the leadership of Motilal Nehru was instrumental in the formation of the act. Most of the provisions in the Indian Constitution are based on this act. This act allowed the formation of a fully responsible government by Indians. This act was applicable both to Indian principalities and also to the British Indian regions. The following are the important features of this act. A federal system of Indian principalities, British governed region and dominion states was formed. Reserve Bank of India was established. Diarchy was established at the center. Diarchy was established, cancelled at the regional level, and autonomy was granted. The federal court was established. One should understand the various political developments that resulted in the formation of various acts that aided the formation of Indian Constitution. Though these acts serve the purpose of British interest, they also include the aspiration of Indians for self-governance. These acts should be understood as the result of struggle led by Indians for the self-rule. Thank you.